Hello and welcome to Not Our Gamer Gaming. This is Genosis with another prefab tutorial for 7 Days to Die. Today's topic is getting nitrogen running and installing custom prefabs. Now, nitrogen, if you're not aware, is a custom random gen map generator. It has a highly customizable options and better integration for custom prefabs for your maps. And it's a very popular tool that a lot of people are using nowadays, and in fact we are using that for a lot of our own maps and playthroughs. So you may recognize that I have a nitrogen map used for the Archer series, which is available for download on any of the most recent episodes. Okay, let's bring you here to the nitrogen download page. This is on the 7 Days to Die community forums. Now this is a post by Damocles, and he'll show you basically, these are a lot of step-by-steps on what this does. Here's a link to download it right here, and it also a download for the compo pack, which has a large number of prefabs available for download, and also shows some information on installing Java. Now, your first task here will be download the nitrogen. Now, once you do that, install it and extract it into a location that you're comfortable with. Now, after doing so, you will need to install Java. Now, this can be done right here on Java's page. Again, this link will be in the description as well as the nitrogen page. And the option here you'll need to download is the 64-bit version. That is required to run nitrogen, which is a 64-bit application. It will not work otherwise. Okay, now once that has been installed, you have Java running, you have nitrogen file ready to go. Let's just bring you there now. Alright, now here is where I extracted the nitrogen world generator. Here we can run nitrogen.exe, and that will bring up the nitrogen application. Now, I started going over a few of the settings here, trying a couple tutorial maps, and for the sake of this tutorial, I'm just going to use a 4K map. It's a lot quicker to generate, really in about a fraction of the time that the 7 Days to Die default world generator will use. Now let's go over what options we have here. We have anything ranging from 4K to 16K, as well as a custom size. Obviously recommended would be anything between 4 to 8. Again, we're going to run with 4 right now just to have some quicker turnaround times and easier exploration. Now here's where you'd enter the custom map size if you chose that option up here. And here is the output folder. Now this is just linked to wherever you extracted nitrogen and where all the all of the custom maps that you create will appear here. So it's a quick little shortcut to click on it and brings it right there. Another shortcut here is the 7 Days to Die world generator folder, and that is configured to the default directory for 7 Days to Die under Steam, and that will bring you straight to where you would install the map. So that's very handy. This option here will tell you whether or not you want to overwrite existing files if your map name is the same, or you can just cancel when not empty. I believe I've already generated this map, so I'm just going to overwrite for this tutorial. Now, the preview map, which is actually a very nice feature, will render a preview of the map with a lot of different color codes to determine or to show you where everything is placed to give you an idea if this is the map that you wish to keep. We'll leave it for the default because it is a extremely useful feature. Now, there is a lot of options here. This will take some exploring on your part, and I won't go in every single one in every explicit detail, namely because I probably haven't even tried all of them myself. Now, a lot of the default options will probably be good for most people. Now, the landscape selection here will range anything between completely flat to kind of a desert oasis. So basically pick anything that gives you a good feel of what you're looking for. I'm going to go with the balanced map because I like having nothing that's too dense with too many factors other than POIS or snow or whatever else. So let's go with balance. Now, smoothing, this will help smooth out the map. It does exactly what it says it does. The terrain isn't as rough. You can leave it default to have a more immersive feel, or you can smooth it out if you just want to have a easier drive across your landscape. Your flatland style can range between flat, very flat, all hills. Again, if you're just trying it for this very first time, go with the default. That will give you a baseline understanding of how this generates the maps, and then you can tweak based on your taste. Now, biomes, here's an important one. Now, a natural one will, if I'm not mistaken, just be the snow, the desert, and the forest maps. You can also add in burned and wasteland, which is by default excluded if I'm not mistaken. I do leave them added in. The burnt biome areas are small patches here and there, as usually found in the forest biome. And wasteland is basically craters in various parts of your map that would emphasize a bomb explosion or something to that effect. So you can either choose, more burned and wasteland to have a lot more of it, only green, only snow, only desert, only burned, or only wasteland if you're that kind of sadist. Now, border biome, here's another important option. This will basically choose how your map is edged around. So you can have an island, you can choose water, forest, desert, wasteland's a good one. I usually go either with water to have an island or wasteland, because if you see a bunch of wasteland in the distance, you know for sure that's going to be in a radiated zone and you don't go there. Again, personal preference. Now, north-south, again, you can choose to have snow in the north, desert in the south. That's what feels most natural to me and many others, but you can choose to disable that to have it completely random, or to have the reverse. Now, roads, this will basically allow a lot more vehicle drivability between different locations. Go with many, or default. I like going with many just because I like roads. I don't like having to drive across various landscapes and having more ability to travel. It does take a little longer to generate, but it only does it once. So once you've done it, there we go. So that may not matter for you. Road type, narrow, default wide, just the width of the road. I believe the default is actually more narrow than I've seen in normal random gen maps. Road condition, you'll see a lot of bumps and craters and damage in the road. You can choose how badly you want those roads to be damaged. You can either overgrown with a lot of grass, heavily damaged with a lot of missing pieces and debris. Small lakes, big lakes, you can choose how many of those types of water structures appear on the map. Same with rivers, few, many. Cracks, now these vicious cracks is the only option here. Now it's basically as if the world kind of opened up in a small area. So you're just driving along and all of a sudden there's this big crack in the world. If you find that interesting, you leave that in. I don't care for it myself. POI limits, no POIs in a biome. So you can choose to have no POIs in burnt and wasteland, or just have no limits. I prefer no limits myself. Player spawn is a useful option. This will choose whereabouts your player is going to spawn when all of your players, particularly on a server, will first spawn. Near town, far from town. One single spawn point, which is great for co-op, so if you're playing with a friend and you want everyone to play together, this is what you'd want to choose. And on a random roof, I have not tried this, but you can imagine why it's tagged as risky, because if you're spawned on a roof, for example, at the hospital or one of the large towers, you're not going to be alone when you spawn in there. So if you like a fun, risky start, or maybe some easy loot, this may be your option to try. Now, here's the POI section. Now, you can choose how many traders to have. I like a lot of traders myself, but you can choose with the default, which is more balanced out, probably usually around, it's all depending on the size of the map. So this could range between 4 or 5 traders on a normal map, or maybe up to like 10 or 12 on a larger map. So again, you can choose how many of these you want. Trail location, near town, far from town, or completely random. We have cities. Now, cities are going to be your primary hubs for POIs. You can choose what size or how many of these to have, whether lots and lots of cities, very few, or just kind of a balanced default. You can go with that. Again, once we generate some maps, you'll kind of get a feel for how many is just a default and how many more is more, how many more is less. City size. If you choose a mega map or mega city, we've tried this before, you basically get enough POIs in one city that you could probably play through just that city and never have it leave. Now, based on how many people you're playing with, or just your play style, or you just want to try for fun, you can go between a very scarce amount of cities, small cities, or have some super mega cities that have like 2 or 3 of pretty much every POI. again, to your own taste. Now, towns are the smaller towns that will have more kind of rural-based builds. You can choose how many of them and what size, same as city. Farms, how many farms you get. Rednecks, I believe that's referring to the Old West towns. No, hold on. Rednecks, no, those are, I think those are trailer parks, if I'm not mistaken. Old towns refer to the Old West towns. Outback POIs. Single POIs are small groups in the countryside. Okay, oh yeah, so those are the ones that are off in the distance, out in mountains, little ones in the distance, like cabins and whatnot. Extra car lots, if you want them, you can go as many extra car lots as you want, especially if you're the kind of the gearhead that wants all kinds of stuff to play with. And custom towns, defined by zones and edited prefab list. Now, this would imply that you could set up your own zone in the prefab list editor. This is a more advanced option. I have not worked with this myself, but if you want to design, for example, a combination of POIs that suits a type of settlement or structure or area that you want to create all your own, you can specify them in the prefab list and you can choose how many of them you'd like to show up. Again, it's an advanced option. I can look into it if that's that's what you're looking for. Now here's some advanced options. Prefab list, we're going to work with that. It is pre-installed with the Combo Pack 42 list, which is very convenient. You can create your own custom list. We're going to stick with the vanilla default, and we're going to edit that ourselves. Now, height map, again, I have not played much with this, but this controls like the dips and valleys of your map and how that's generated. And here we go. Other options here, generate new POIs. To be honest, I'm not 100%. Can stop generation after height map is... Hold on here. Height map is generated. These are more advanced options that are probably more meant for people that edit their own maps. And these are probably some debug options. More Darkness Fall zones. Again, that's kind of a nod towards the Darkness Fall mod. And there are special zones that are created within that, and this is an option to support it. You can actually have different scenarios. No POIs whatsoever. That's, wow, I could not imagine. OCD world for debugging. Unsure what that is. I'd actually be curious to find out one day. Feel free to try it. All right, now here's a slider to control what type of landscape you're going to have. So you can flatten things out, make things a little more random, and you can have a lot more mountains, a lot more desert, rockiness. It's up to you how you want to do this. I like a lot of flat land. I mean, some mountain, it's nice. This is all personal taste, but I like being able to travel around without having to bump around too much. I mean, the roads do help, but this will make it a lot easier for you to get kind of the right feel for the map you're looking for. All right, so we've done a lot of playing around with this. Now, there's one thing I like to do before we go ahead and generate this world. We are going to edit the prefab list. Now, I'm going to pop there right now. The prefablist.txt file, this is found in the resources folder. Actually, let's go there before we discuss that too much. Here we go. So you go into the resources folder. You're looking for the, where we are, prefablist.txt. So we open that up. Let's bring it back here. And this is what controls all of the prefabs that are going to be created or inserted into your custom map. Now, there are instructions on how to add your own maps. This is the CSV file format right here, and these are the types of zones that you can use. We can go to some examples here. Here's the one that comes by default. This is the name of the prefab. This is the prefab file name. The zone it's going to go into. This, if I'm not mistaken, is the... Oh, it's the face north rotation. Now, this is basically what the number that will go in there that'll how many rotations it takes for your prefab to face north. All the prefabs that we do, actually, this is a list of the Not a Gamer Gaming prefabs that I've already installed. I've usually north adjust all of our prefabs, so you'll see a 0 here. Second number, we'll just kind of go down this list. Your Y offset, that basically refers to how deep the POI goes into the ground. For example, our Connects Coffee, there's only one block that goes down to the ground, so it goes level flat. For some that are a lot deeper, for example, the Asylum has a basement that goes 9 blocks deep. The Isaiah, I think, has some craters, I think about 6 deep. Library has a basement of 8, as well as the lighthouse. I guess 8 is a common number I use. All right, and now the XYZ, this is the size, the kind of width, height, and depth in a 3-dimensional space of what size these prefabs are. Now you can see that the Insane Asylum is quite large, the Isaiah quite even larger, and then you got the libraries pretty small. All right, now we also have the nitrogen zone. Now these are the custom zones defined here under placement types. This, if you go down this list, you can choose where you want your prefab placed. In the example of the Canucks Coffee, I wanted them downtown. Now there's extra flags you can add, for example, unique. It is delimited by semicolon. So if you want to have the prefab designated in multiple areas, you can choose to have it flagged here, semicolon, and then another zone. Now the unique zone is a special marker to spawn a POI only once. So I wanted only one Isaiah, I wanted only one library, and only one Insane Asylum. Depending on how you want this prefab to be placed into your map, I wanted many Canucks Coffees, it's coffee shops, who cares? But for all the other ones, I wanted them to be unique experiences. Now, after we've done that, the first thing we want to do is to actually install the prefabs into 7 Days to Die. So, for example, when this map attempts to generate and you start the game, it'll actually work. Now, to download our custom POIs, and that's actually one of the topics of this, is to go to a link we're going to have that's going to bring you to Nexus Mods. This is where we upload and set up all of our custom prefabs and offer them to the public. If you go ahead and click the download button, this will go ahead and download the NAGG custom POIs in basically whatever version that we have at the time. At this time, we have, I believe, 5 prefabs, including the Insane Asylum, Isaiah, which is an IKEA spin-off, Canucks Coffee, which is kind of like a Tim Hortons. We have our first one, which is a library, and then we have a lighthouse, which is based off of a movie, which I can't think of it at the top of my head. That's one where there's two families merged together. There's a bunch of kids. But anyways, it's based off of that movie. If you think of it, congratulations. I just can't think of it right now. So once you download this file, this will download to wherever your location is. You can go ahead and extract it. I'm going to take you, one second here. Yeah, I'm going to take you to where I've extracted it here. Now, the default download is actually a mod. If you just drop this into the mod folder, just like this, the NAGG custom POIs, this will integrate the mods or the prefabs already into your 7 Days to Die. And what I also did is I can configure the random gen mixer to create it so that when you create a random gen map using the vanilla method, it'll actually insert the POIs by default. Now, this doesn't always work with larger prefabs, which is why we've actually turned to Nitrogen to create our random gen maps for us. But so long as the prefabs are not too exceeded by size, I think anything over 100 by 100 tends to have problems, such as our Insane Asylum or the Isaiah. It may not appear on your map. The other ones will show up fine: library, lighthouse, and the coffee shop. So if you just install it as is, you create a new map, these will actually show up. Now, for the purpose of this, we're just going to show you how to manually install the prefabs. So you'll find your prefabs here. They'll come with about 6 different files. Usually the block files, the thumbnail, mesh file, which is how it appears in the distance, and the configuration files. We've actually discussed this in a previous Prefab Editor tutorial videos that we've shown. So you can grab all of these and copy them. Now if we go back here, I actually have a shortcut into our prefab folder, which is under your 7 Days to Die installation, under the data folder and under prefabs. Now I've already had them installed here. They're Insane Asylum, the Isaiah, Library, Lighthouse, they're all here. Now once that's done, that's been installed, we're going to go back to Nitrogen, and we're going to click Generate World. Now I'm going to go ahead and actually click that right now, even though I've already done it. So this will go through the process of creating, exporting it. You'll notice it goes quite fast, a lot faster than the default vanilla random world generator. Okay, just about done. Exporting the map, creating a custom preview, And there we go. Now that's done. This took 19 seconds. Not bad at all. Now the first thing you'll want to check is the preview map. Now I'm going to bring you back there here. And then go back to where I was going. Now this will go into your nitrogen world generator under output. And we have our tutorial map folder here. Now this is the actual world that's been created for you. And all these are the files that create that world. Now there's a preview folder which contains the image. Let's blow that up for you here. Okay, now here's the map that we just created. You'll notice that we have some large cities here, smaller towns. You see some of the random POIs that get placed in the mountains. So, and these are the craters I was referring to when it comes to placing a wasteland. And I believe you can find, zoom in here. Yeah, some burnt patches right there. Now, before we dive too much into this map, there is a legend for this, and I'm just going to switch to there now. So you go to the 7 Days to Die forums where this was placed. You scroll on down, keep scrolling. You're going to see there is, here we go. Here is the legend. So you can find traders, which are important here. You'll find the pink traders, the city center or blue areas, and industrial. So we're going to switch back to our map here. Okay, so like we were saying, you can see already that there was a trader here on the edge of the map. There's a trader seems to be on the edge of major towns, which is great. Now the green is old farmland, the blue is city centers, these is industrial areas, and these are car lots. And I believe these are residential areas. And I think we have some farmland out here. So this all in all is not that bad of a map. If you find something doesn't go to your taste, like there's too much desert, too much river, or lakes, whatever, you can reduce and increase those as you wish. All right, now that we've actually created our own map, let's go ahead and take a look at what we've created. Now that we've located the files that we've created, we need to copy this file. And if you actually go back to nitrogen, we'll do that here. And you click on where it says, oh, where am I here? Nitrogen. If you click on where it says, open the 7 Days to Die world generation folder. Okay, here in the world generated folder, this is where you can put all of your maps. So we've copied it, and I'm just going to paste it right into here. Okay, it's all pasted in. Now if we go back to 7 Days to Die, right over here, and then go into the world editor, we'll see that it appears here now. Now, this is actually a good way I like to make sure that the map is good, is that the world editor will give us already by default the tools to examine the prefabs, to float around and take a good look at everything that we've created. We're just going to wait for the map to load up. Alright, now here we are in the custom map that we've created. Zoom out here. We can actually toggle this up here to show you kind of a different overlay of what the map's going to look like. So you can kind of pop around here and teleport around, just control right click to different parts of the map to see what that looks like. So if you teleport far away, it's going to take a few moments for everything to populate inside. So let's actually go ahead and take a look at one of the larger city areas. Oh, and we've already found one of our custom prefabs right here. This is our library. Now here in the world editor, you'll see the custom markers such as the quest starters, as you'll see them all around. So yeah, we found one of our prefabs, so that has definitely worked. Let's see if we can see anything else. Oh wow, okay. And here we have the Isaiah, which is another one of our custom builds. Pretty snazzy. Now let's see if I can actually find our asylum. Let me take a quick look around. Oh, we found actually another one of our POIs right here. This is the lighthouse that we've created. I thought I'd recognize that from a distance. And yes, it is also quest enabled. Alright, I'm just going to keep looking as we make sure all of our prefabs spawn. I'm going to take another look for the asylum, which is usually pretty big, so you should be able to see it from a distance. And it is designated to be on the edge of the map. So I'm just going to take another moment just try to find it. Okay, I actually took some time looking for the insane asylum, and it was not even there. So I think this is based on the size of the map. It's possible that the insane asylum just didn't get make the cut. So it doesn't include every single POI in every single zone. It's all based on random factors, and it looks like it just didn't get the cut. The first tutorial map I created actually did include it, and that was an 8K map. So this being a smaller map, they just probably ran out of space and got shaved off the end. If it was involved in a more frequently placed zone, that it possibly would have appeared, but it was in a lone, unique area, so it just didn't make the cut. So that, again, based on the size of the map you create, it will affect what number of POIs you get available in the map. Alright, the other thing I would like to cover, just before we close this off, and we're just about done. If you go over here to the description of the custom prefabs that we've placed, you'll find that I've already pre-typed all of the criteria to place our maps. You'll find the same thing with a lot of other mod packs. We provide this as well. And if you actually go into the game editor, you can actually create, you can get these numbers yourself. The rest you can kind of create on your own. To show you how to do that, if you're looking at a world that you have not, or if you're looking at a prefab that you have not already had a line for, I can show you how to get the information for this. Okay, if you go into the editing tools and into the level prefab editor, I'm going to go ahead and select a prefab, and I'll show you where to find the values that you'll need to make that entry. Alright, I have loaded our Insane Asylum just for a demonstration. So if you go in here and you hit the escape menu, you look on the right hand side, it'll show you the size you need in order to create that entry. So you have the, I think the width, and this is the height, and then the depth of the prefab. So like 130 by 77. That looks about right. Yeah, 130 by 77 and about 44 tall. So those are the numbers that you need to make that entry into the prefab list in order to have it placed properly in the world. Alright, this has been Genosis, Not a Gamer Gaming. I want to thank you all for watching. If you have any additional questions, feel free to toss them into the comments. I will do my best to answer them. But this should get you up and running with nitrogen and any of our custom maps. Thanks again for watching. If you liked what you saw here, please consider liking the video and subscribing if you have not already. Catch you next time.